out now down to our second match of the night. In fact, it's going to be Knackebrod going up against Out of Range. And you will hear my pronunciation decline as the night continues. But I'm going to keep trying it because... Knight. Already. I'm going to keep trying to pronounce KB's name because I don't want to say KB and ruin it for them. All right, Crux? I'm sorry. It's going to be Out of Range as well. Their opponents are Carmen's team as well, who come off the back of a good win against Rusty Roster last play week. KB not so much, obviously, having to go up against Wombats and Tanks last week and suffered a 5-2 defeat.
Yeah, so it's kind of the tale of two halves. We had a 5-2 win for Out of Range, 5-2 defeat for Wombats for KB. So we'll have to see how this goes down. Of course, I'd say KB's had the better season so far. They've been in the top 3. They've been performing pretty well. And if they can just kind of shrug off that loss against Wombats, they can definitely come out here and be the better team against Out of Range. But having said that, looking at Out of Range play, they made some individual mistakes, sure, against Rusty Roster, but you know, Rusty didn't have their greatest games for sure. But the way that Out of Range were playing, going forwards, trying new things, having tactics in the bag, it shows that they are a team that's progressing nicely, and they do have what it takes to actually win against you know, a solid team.
Yes, but I mean, the real story happens in the next few weeks as we head in towards our finals a little bit more, as these teams try and vie for pole position, I guess you could say, or you know, good seeding positions to make their way into those finals, and that's going to be excellent, of course. Oops, already towards the top of the ladder, as you guys saw in the recap video. I hope you enjoyed it, Lauren. Sorry we didn't show up beforehand, mate. There you go. But again, so one to definitely be thinking about as well. And Melly, as per usual, everyone, we're wanting to hear their thoughts on the vote, because as the game goes, we love seeing how it changes, who people are putting themselves behind, especially after the first few rounds do transpire.
Well, one way is, of course, Facebook, getting involved on Facebook using the hashtag WGLEU on Twitter is the next step or option. Currently, it's 83% for Knackebrod. I mean, we saw some impressive play from them. But Out of Range, a Polish team, usually has a huge fan base behind them.
Does.
Not showing up so much in the vote, at least.
No one likes Carmen. Poor Carmen. All the other Polish teams, 10,000 votes. Carmen's team.
Carmen,
0
I
votes.
like you. I like him.
That's going to bite you in the
nice.
bum. He's been like, Melly's my only friend now.
Yeah.
And then at the event, he's just going to be like, just hanging out with you. You're going to have lunch together.
Selfies.
You're going to have
tea,
selfies.
coffees.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be happening. All the above, of course. You can't use flash when you have a selfie with Carmen,
It's
though,
going to be
because
at
the
the
photo
grand
will
final.
come out like white, because obviously off his head it reflects.
He's
like the
even
sun, it's
whiter
eclipse.
than me, which is impressive,
He
because
is.
I'm already transparent, almost.
Yeah.
Well, I
See
mean-
your heart like a newborn fish.
That's what Lauren said about you, Ollie.
Did she?
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, are you recycling Lauren's banter
I'm pretty
now?
sure. I'm pretty sure that's my
Oh.
line, which she's recycling off me, and then I just I can't recycle your own stuff. It doesn't work like that.
But yes, it's different with you. Yeah, you're.
But you're going to be
really
seeing it at the grand
transparent.
finals, which was announced today. If you haven't seen it.
Oh, yes.
WorldofTanks.eu. Check it out. It's going to be at Torvi. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's an arena, though, yeah?
Torva. I'm going to definitely have to learn that one before we get to that. Yeah, it's going to be the ice hockey arena in Warsaw. So.
Yeah.
Continuing the tradition of Polish capital heritage of the grand finals. It's going to be good.
Exactly. And the entrance fee is free, so
course.
everyone can join us. And
Mitch won't be allowed in though. Keep him
yeah,
outside.
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I got too much of a tan. I'll be spotted straight away. Even
you're,
though
you're
that
pretty white
You've
for
only
an
just-
actually
Australian.
quite
You're
white,
only just
yeah.
allowed outside of Germany recently, so you know.
Yeah, that's true.
pretty white
You're
for a fly
finally
guy.
allowed to leave the country.
I can leave the country, which is always nice.
So we have to take you with us.
Yeah.
Even if they don't let me in, I'll just stand at the front and be like, I used to cast this back in my day. Now this Oliver guy is ruining it with his crappy banter and there's no one there to keep me in line. That's why you need to make sure to give me your support. And if they even try to kick me out of this show, you get
We
up
would
on
never
my side.
try that. We would never try
Bollocks.
that. Regarding the grand finals, you can also join our event page on Facebook. Just head over to facebook.com/WGLEU. That's where you can also find the direct link to the news article where we explain everything around the grand finals, where you can find it, when it's happening, what time, where to show up, and whatever. And right in our banner picture, there is a little call to action button, it's called, on Facebook.
Right.
You can click it, you will directly forward to the event page. It's called Book Now, which is
Ironic because you have to pay, but you know.
exactly. you don't have to book anything, don't worry, because it's free, as Mitch said. Just click it, you'll get forward to our event page, and then just say that you're going, and maybe invite your friends.
That's it. Friends are good. We had a great crowd last time. Good turnout at the Expo 21 arena. I think in upwards of 5K, I think we had.
15K over the weekend, I think.
15K. Pretty sick. They had tanks
In
out the front as well.
Earthfall.
Oliver looked like a clown. It was really good. His makeup was on
10 out
point.
of 10 lipstick.
Anyway, let's now get back to the game, of course. Knackebrod and Out of Range. Let's hear from Knackebrod about how they thought they'd fare in this particular match.
Out of Range is a new team in the Gold League, so we met them last season in Silver League many times. We trained against them, so we know how they play, we know their tactics, but of course the same is true for them. So it's going to be a really interesting match, and I'm looking forward to the games.
Me too, bro. Me too. Let's quickly, before we discuss this one, let's go and hear what Carmen had to say and see if he gave us any more 50-50 predictions about this match.
Our game versus the guys with the funny name Knackebrod, which I don't know how to pronounce it if I go it right. But I know who is playing there. That means they have a Hellfish and Crooks, my friends, which I will want always to win them. That's in the same way as we won in the Silver Series, so cannot wait to place the nice shots in us of Crooks and Tarantula. Thank you very much.
Every time someone tells me that I can't pronounce Knackebrod correctly, I'm going to forward them to that video.
Just have a soundboard of
Knackebrod. It was brilliant.
Great stuff.
But Carmen, look, what he said essentially, if we can, no translation really
Paraphrasing.
required, paraphrasing of course, is that he knows who he's going up against, regardless of what they're called or what their logo is. He knows his players. He knows, your Tarantulas. He knows Crux. Well, I'm sure guys like Hellfish and stuff who've been around for a while. And Carmen, I guess the expectation is, at least from us to him, is that some of his strategies will involve a bit of an understanding of KB and their play style.
Yep.
The first map is going to be Mines, excitingly enough. One of my absolute favourites, Oliver, as well, as these two teams do ready themselves up to jump in. Initial thoughts here as everyone starts to batten down the hatches and get ready to roll out.
Well, I think Out of Range were obviously the better team in Silver Series, as Carmen just said, and they were qualified in first. But I think KB's been the better Gold Series team so far in 768. So I guess it's going to be a battle of who was better last season, who was better this season, and it's anyone's game. I wasn't particularly impressed with how KB played against Wombats on tanks, so I think some of you out there maybe have, KB as the firm favourites, but I don't think so.
Well, I have to wait and see now as Mines, the picturesque setting for our next couple of rounds. And it's going to be an interesting one at that. It's going to be Out of Range defending here. They're in the blue, KB in the red. And Tarantula, one of the guys that Carmen was speaking about earlier on, a player that he understood, is on that RU251 with a very aggressive push forward, actually. This is quite surprising. Knackebrod have actually eschewed the cover of the hill, made their way straight in towards his little channel here, and Out of Range won't know for the next few seconds.
No, not at all. Riziek is in that position to try and spot across. He's not found anything so far, and Crux isn't peeking, so he's keeping patient, making sure he doesn't poke too early on. But the cap is on the way, so now Out of Range will be very much aware of where KB wanted to go, and actually when you had their little warm-up, Out of Range and KB did exactly the same thing, so it might have been a bit of a mind game there.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the warm-up, the test map, just like do whatever and see what happens. 113 versus TVP. Interesting little matchup there. The 113, of course, is going to be able to survive that damage, and spokesperson Hellfish is going to be able to come back and have a shot at Kerov here as well. He'll have another clip ready soon, so Hellfish has to be careful. He can't really 1v1 against that tank, interestingly enough, but damage already been done on the backside. The cap, though, is the problem. Riziek won't have the gun depression to be able to fire safely. He needs to pretty much hull over that hill completely, but Hellfish has been challenged here as well. A lot of damage going on towards him. Piotr's in a good position up in the rear, but he's got an STB1 right up his rear end, and he's about to jump on top and do some damage.
Yeah, the thing is, when there's two tanks down into K4, K5, it makes it basically impossible to cap. And you can see how effect that's having at the moment. Mighty Otto takes down Piotr. But I think this is still Out of Range's game, I would say. But HB is very close indeed. but out of range have the higher ground, and they just need to continue doing the damage. But Milos receives a lot for that peak.
Yeah, that's right. KB have managed to at least carve out a bit of a health point lead here, and Karol has to be very careful. The double tap could have come in at any time, and Paycat does get the final shot. However, now being threatened from the top is that T54 of Risiek continues to create some reset opportunities. Now it looks like the rest of Outer Range have to be careful here because, well, they have one less tank here. They're a little bit low on health points. They don't want to go for a fight. Want to reset as much as they can and hope that KB will walk themselves into a well-placed trap.
Yeah, Formula One's going to try and use this bush in front of him. Interesting enough that Crux was very patient there in the background, didn't peek early on at all. But of course, Amartey Artur took control of that northern area, which means that it's pretty much out of range, ironically enough, for them. And Object 140 on the hill. And I think right now, if out of range, they're just going to be trying to get the peaks without receiving too much damage. Make sure Formula One can get the resets. But now with the 23 seconds reload, it might just be enough here for KB to cap.
Yeah, that's right. Formula One can't fire for a little while now. Crux is hoping to try and keep heads down as he does push towards the south here. We have Milos, his first direct opponent here as well. He has spotted him. Now at 62A, has the advantage in hull down scenarios here. It has a strong head on it. But Crux has 4 shots. He won't be able to finish off Milos, or he will be able to finish off Milos, sorry, as his opponent is half health. Great little tank to get the finish off with. Amartey Artur wants to push around on towards Dezek here. It looks like KB were able to get some good damage across the line early on in the piece, and now they're just going to capitalize.
Yeah, they are. Dezek's definitely going to go down in this position. 2 versus 1. Even that Object 140 goes slightly too far backwards. Amartey Artur takes care of him. So 2 versus 5. You can see firmly out of range are starting to dwindle in HP. Crux also coming from behind. That low penetration of the TVP definitely not helping out with the decaps for Formula.
Amartey Artur to push up for Risiek. Only 2 tanks left here for Outer Range. It looks like they may have just messed up here a little bit. Maybe they messed up a little bit early on. There it is. Final shots to come in, and KB off to a good start. Crisp play from them as well, as their namesake would indicate. And an interesting, different approach to start things off, though, Oliver. I guess going towards that channel, first things first, is something we might see like 1 in 30 or 40 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see it successful as well that many rounds. The simple fact is that when you push down into that lower corner, you get yourself into a classic kind of bad position for World of Tanks, a disadvantageous position because you're in the lower ground, first of all. You're in very boggy ground, which is okay. With off-road driving and clutch braking, maybe not such a big deal. As you can see, that RU251 was very quick across the water. But still, you know, I think, okay, a lot of teams manage to get the decap and win against that tactic when they have artillery. But you had out of range down into the K line, making good shots, getting the resets. But they were just getting spotted by Crux, and Crux was very patient. He peaked at the right time. Ketevan as well went down on the T1, completely cancelled out, which definitely didn't help them. And yeah, from Ketevan losing to them losing the northern corner, the TVP going down to Amartey Artur, which is of course going to happen when you're playing the STB with that great rate of fire. Yep. I think that's what lost them the game. If they kept that northern corner, they keep their options open. But they didn't. They let it go, and maybe if Ketevan stayed alive in that T10, he could have gone forward and helped him.
So here's your damage countbacks here, in Amartey Artur in the STB1 was definitely a key piece here with 3.2k damage done. But to be fair, if you look over the countback, at least it's 1, then 1, then 1, then 1, and they all have fairly similar amounts of damage. So, like you kind of already pointed out, Oliver, it wasn't a landslide victory for Knackebrod.
No, not at all. It was back and forwards, definitely 100% of the time. Good play. I think some individual play as well was very good, and you know the fact that they managed to push that 140 out position was a good move from them. And you got to remember, out of range, they've played this map more than any other map this season so far. 13 rounds so far, and okay, only a 50% win ratio or thereabouts, slightly below. They played this one extraordinarily well against a Rusty roster, and I think that lower tactic was a direct counter to that, because KB was thinking, okay, you know, we've seen out of range how aggressive they've been across the middle, how well they've getting the peaks. We don't want to go into that kind of position. We don't want to have that fight against them, because there's a good chance we'll lose it.
Well, let's see now if it's going to be a similar approach here for Out of Range, or if they have something else planned. Now, last time we saw them actually on Mines, it was super, super good from them. Up against Rusty roster, they just decimated them with one of the biggest winning margins we've actually seen so far, at least on this map. And all they did was set up on the hill, just in good spots. And it seemed like Rusty roster poked into these really nasty situations here. But we do have artillery coming out here as well, probably Dezek as usual, and a double 113 for Knackebrod.
Yeah, interesting double 113. It's definitely more a popular tank since the patch, so it's good to see. I like to see variety. I think variety is the spice of life. along with Spice. Spicy food's great. But we can see at the beginning, KB just pushing up towards the middle. Looks like they want to go for a peek. I mean, with IS-7 double 113, they got a very chunky spearhead. And let's see if they can make it work for them. Of course, the gun depression will be their biggest issue. 113's got good gun depression. It's just not particularly tall.
And this is out of range, setting up in a very, very good way yet again. Already Pad has fallen down, taken down by Piotr there as well. And almost no damage has been sustained by out of range. And look, if anything, this team seems to have a good understanding of how to play the attacking or the north side of mines. Dezek, though, just got smacked down by Tarantula here. It will be tough to lose him early on, but still wouldn't be the end of the world. As out of range have already honestly given themselves a considerable advantage in the first few moments.
And Dezek is still spotted. Great push out there by Tarantula, very good counter. And actually, this push from KB is very effective as well.
A heck of a lot of damage, Ollie, going on towards Senti. Milosh even cops a bit of it as well. Failware and Hellfish out towards the side, just trying to get the angle on towards these forward tanks for out of range. And so far, not too bad, but they are being made to suffer. You can see Failware and KB are being the subject of a lot of fire, and we do see Failware fall down.
Yeah, KB can just start to think about what they want to do next, because out of range, just pushing forward, being aggressive. Those TVPs are on reload, so they have a little bit of a respite, but not for long.
That's Dezek there as well into Almighty Odd. That's a big hit from that artillery. Tarantula wasn't able to take him off the map. He got one shot towards it, but Dezek's still been able to cause problems on his own, even being threatened so closely by that 251. Now 3 tanks left, only 3 here. As Risic is just looking towards Crux. He wants to get the finish off, but Crux did at least get rid of Formula. So 2v4. Tarantula and Hellfish. Hellfish is just in dire straits. He was going to be surrounded and taken out in a few moments. The 113 just doesn't have the fire rate or really any of the stats required to deal with 3 tanks, but not many tanks do. And I think Tarantula in the meantime has just, convinced himself that he needs to kill Dezek if there's going to be any chance here, but unfortunately it doesn't really matter now. He just wants to at least get rid of that artillery. Senti, Risic and Piotr are bearing down on his position.
Yeah, game over here. Out of range with a nice, not particularly convincing victory, but it's enough. And I think they kind of let the game slip a little bit, got a bit careless in the last stages, the last few seconds, maybe last minute and a half. But yeah, I mean, you could see right at the beginning, TVP cancelled out. Then we saw the 113 try and cross. They got cancelled out. Yeah, Dezek on the hill, despite being under pressure, the guy's an absolute beast. Definitely one of the biggest factors why they beat Rusty Roster, on top of the damage for 3 or 4 rounds out of the 7 they played. So an impressive man indeed. And yeah, I think, after that TPP went down, that position is pretty crucial. Very hard to play nonetheless, but out of range on the left, out of range on the right, there's nowhere to hide.
And they just held to start with. They didn't have to do anything crazy. They set up on the hill and had a good crossfire and pad of KV, who was that first tank up towards the rock there. Was actually not nearly as safe as he thought he was. There were shots coming in from multiple angles. There's those 2 rocks in the middle. There's actually only a small gap between it, but with tanks out on either side as well, he was threatened and taken out very quickly.
Yeah, TVP's a big tank, and this is what I said in that previous round. KB going to that lower ground, going for that cap, probably because they wanted to avoid that exact situation where out of range are making those exchanges in the middle, just trading for it very well indeed. Dezek in the background, the man doesn't miss in the artillery. And then, I think they had to go on the defensive side. They had to get control of that middle area, because with Dezek in the artillery, they were just being broken down if they were too passive there in the background. So Senti did a very good job there. You can see the FET-15B. I mean, 4k damage, you can't really argue with that. Surprisingly, Hellfish, Tarantula, Crux, all, pulling their weight, but then you'll see on the next page how poorly some of those bottom players from KB actually performed.
It wouldn't shock me here if that was out of Ranger's map choice as well, considering how well we've seen them play before. KB, I mean, the last time they played Mines, they got trashed by Wombats on tanks last week. It was 2-0. So, getting 1-on-1 on that map, which may not necessarily be your choice, is very, very good. And the next map, as we talk about it, is going to be Ruinberg. We're going to see it 3 times today, guys. So prepare yourselves for that one. It's also the tiebreaker, so we might see it more than 3 times. Yay. But one that I feel that maybe KB have a little bit more prepared for, at least can go their 1-on-1 and keep themselves in step here at this stage. But that's quite convincing. I'd say that second round was more convincing than the first, and more of a matter of good preparation, or just like something that works. Out of range, have done that before. We've seen that before. It's clear to see that teams haven't really figured out how to deal with that sort of setup then. Yep. I mean, KB maybe tried there as well, but their setup had a very much a default flavor to it as well by going in towards the middle of the map, which is exactly what Out of Range wanted them to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Out of Range just knows how to play that position perfectly, and they had the right tanks in the right position, and they managed to counter that TVP very well. But yeah, moving on to Ruinberg, not a map we've actually seen Out of Range play this season so far, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can provide. I think they've been trying to avoid it, perhaps, but maybe Prokhorovka has been something they wanted to ban out as we go into this one. But looking at the lineups, pretty standard from both teams. KB 50% win ratio on Ruinberg at this point in time, not better on the defense or the attack. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I haven't been impressed with KB on Ruinberg. Haven't seen out of range on Ruinberg. So maybe out of range has the edge.
We'll have to see. As out of range, I don't know. I don't really know what we've seen from them, if anything crazy on this map. I mean, it's just TVPs and IS-7s here for Knackebrod, so one must think that there is a very specific approach that they would take here, especially if they're not really splashing out to too many different tanks. Whereas out of range, actually, the only tank duplicates they have is the two FVs. They got an IS-7, Waffentrager Alpha E100. They got a 62A and a 54. So trying to maybe go for a cookie cutter, an all-purpose sort of lineup here on the defensive side. And Rysiek as well in the 62A has already pushed a long way forward. What a beast of a tank to have in the back corner of the map. The one I keep talking about as being a very, very important spot to go. Here's KB setting up on the cap. Looks almost Penta-esque here, but maybe even fancying themselves a fight as they ignore the cap and push further up.
Well, the thing is, you know, they can go aggressive through the middle because Desek there in the Waffentrager Alpha E100 has basically a 1-minute reload. So they're in position. They're not going to have to worry about that 560 damage pounding to the side of them with the 360 penetration, which just goes through an IS-7 like hot knife through butter. So I like this aggression in the beginning from KB. They've got good positions. I mean, they have to worry about Desek, of course, but he's still just one man, one tank. And as long as they try and avoid him, go for the corner shots, go for the peaks, they should be okay. And you've actually got the Waffentrager Alpha 100 there in the middle, which is always a bit of a pain for the defending team because they have to, if they want to take care of these tanks, which are in the Eastern Village, they have to flank around and they'll be receiving damage. And that's why you can see Piotr actually going in for the kill against him.
Yeah, but this is very, very risky. He has to cross the road first, which means he's taken a couple hits already. And, I mean, the Waffentrager doesn't have the rate of fire to keep up, of course, with the 215B. It's only a tier 8, but it can do a considerable amount of damage. Piotr should have the finish on this next shot here, and he does. He's paid a fair price for that one. And with the TVP coming up behind him, he's just going to be able to clean him up. That's Pat as well. Now, not great penetration on the TVP, so maybe Piotr might be able to bounce one or two, but he pretty much has to. But no, he will go down. The 1-for-1 trade is completed. And these IS-7s are digging in for KB in the village.
Yeah, a little bit of careless play there for Piotr. I mean, he should always make sure he goes unspotted just in case there is something there. I mean, there's no reason for him to peek straight off the bat unless his team's actually doing something. But Mielos going forward is getting punished immediately by that zero-line TVP.
And there's a Waffentrager as well. He's starting to fire those shots, and Paycat is punished a little bit as he's forced on towards that reload. But these three IS-7s do provide a very solid core for the lineup of out of range. But Desek somehow has been allowed to come forward, and you can just see what that Waffentrager E100 can do. So much darn damage. He's on reload now, but the damage has been done. As Senti now, he'll be the second line, the second wave of damage. Him and Kerov as well. Going to go 2v2 against Failware and Hellfish, and it's a good fight to take. Hellfish is a one-shot. Failware won't be looking too flash in a few moments either. The Crux in the back is trying to do as much damage as he can, but it's not enough.
It's almost black and blue how the way Out of Range is playing the World of Tanks suddenly. They're smart, they're calculated, they make the right pushes. Of course, Senti's on his own, and Hellfish is doing a really good job side-scraping the IS-7 and just kind of keeping his team in the game, but he will eventually go down thanks to that low HP, and Crux is on reload.
So you see the problems with these TVPs here is Pat is also on reload, the other TVP. He got 4 shots out, fair enough, did a bit of damage, and now he does nothing for 20 odd seconds as he has to wait for that reload to come through. Absolutely useless here. When teams stack TVPs or stack autoloaders in one spot, I mean, you can have 3 autoloaders if you have some other sustained damage, but if you're in the same fight with just 3 autoloaders, there's such a massive window where the enemy team can literally have their way with you, do whatever they want. They know that there's no risk of being shot. They can move forward, they can maneuver in ways that they otherwise wouldn't be able to because of the threat generated by a tank that could fire within 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think, a TVP is great against other TVPs, other medium tanks and lighter tanks, but when you're playing against, the FE215Bs, the IS-7s, first of all, you got to think about the penetrations. Very low with heat ammo as well. You've got all the problems with heat ammo. So
lowest penetration out of its class.
Exactly.
As well.
So I mean, you're going to struggle, and you could bounce against one of those bigger tanks for sure. And then you got the fact that you only do 1,350 damage, 60 damage odd, which is going to take you 46 seconds to actually kill a tier 10, which is a long time. So to actually get those tanks being effective in a game, you need to have them all coordinating very well or shooting on the same target to blow one up very quickly, which of course didn't happen. You had one on the 0 line, one in the middle, and one somewhere else. I think it got killed pretty early on. It was, of course, going through the F line, the center road. So, I mean, yeah, good round there for an out of range. Of course, we saw First of all, taking care of that Waffendrag Alpha E100, which gave them a little bit more breathing room. Okay, they lost the FE215B, but they took care of the TV pretty quickly. And then you had Desek just pushing around the corner in that Waffendrag Alpha E100, and he just got his team the advantage. 3 shells, took down an IS-7, and they just pushed through that kind of opening they created with that tank.
And we're seeing the same problems, actually, that teams used to have back in 742. So I'm going to throw back a couple years here, guys, for those who've been following, as we do have the damage come up. Teams that stacked T69 struggled late into the round. They really, really did. It's not even as bad as 1390s. T69 struggled because they couldn't fully kill another tank of equal or greater value, like a 1390. Same problem here for these TVPs. Again, another 4-shot autoloader, another short reload time. Decent damage, but again, it's the same issue. You need to vary things up a bit as well. When you've got nothing outside of it, I think people are getting too hyped about the new Czechoslovakian tank in there as well. I think it has its place, but I think that also highlighted some of the weaknesses of it as well.
Yeah, and also, you got to remember the T69 at the beginning was brilliant because of the penetration, 300 penetration with heat.
And then they nerfed heat.
And then they nerfed down to 250, and I think you can draw that comparison between, I mean, let's say the TVP with 330 millimeters of penetration with heat, which is like the standard penetration for a tier 10 medium, and then suddenly it was taken down to 310. Like, imagine how OP the TVP would be 330. Like, you wouldn't have to worry about anything, basically. Of course, you would still have to aim, but it wouldn't be a problem. Like we saw in that previous round of Mines when you had the TVP bouncing the shot onto the front of that 113's hull armor, just wouldn't bounce if it was a 330. Very unlikely without normalization.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's only 2 centimeters is the difference between 330 and 310, but it does matter. It is important, especially in those clutch situations now. So KB actually going to decide just to take the 1 TVP. That's probably a little bit better, especially with the 54 lightweight as well to round things out. There will still be a producer of that consistent damage. And they're on the defensive side now as well, so you can relax a little bit and we'll maybe take the foot off the gas somewhat. And out of range, going the default. Oliver, I really feel like that's what we normally see from these teams on the attacking side. Filter out through the bottom, set up towards the cap. And Tarantula making the correct response. Now, last round, KB pushed up to the village to prevent any of this kind of stuff here. But there's not really much they can do now. And out of range, have to allow Tarantula to get there. Karov's hoping to spot him. But for now, Tarantula will stay unspotted. There's a little bit of a defilade there as well. He's not able to be seen. There's double bushes as well between him and Ketevan, so that shot still leaves him undetected.
I was pretty surprised Ketevan didn't go into that hold-down position in G6 area, but, you know, he's playing the T54 lightweight, not the RU251, so not particularly easy to use hold down. And Tarantula, he's in the T54 lightweight, so he's not going to be that effective. I don't know what Desek's doing.
What the heck is he doing? No support whatsoever. The firing squad was waiting for him. Formula 1 bounces his second of 2 shots here, and Desek is going to be dead to rights in just a few moments. Don't really know. They can be shot from behind as well with Tarantula's positioning as well, which means Desek is even that much more vulnerable. There it is. That's the shot I was talking about. Ketevan and Kerolf, now need to respond to this, but they've lost so much already. It may be too late. They have a hull there, at least to hide behind, but they really need to start to help out the tanks in the rest of this middle part of the map, because that's where, out of range, causing having trouble cause for them here. But it's fairly straightforward, fairly even. An extra tank here for out of range could be the difference as KB now start to just tighten the grip.
I mean, you could see the individual players I was talking about there for out of range. They probably wasted 3 or 4 shells trying to kill Hellfish, and that definitely caused them some issues. But still, I mean, out of range, if they had been a lot more effective at killing him, they'll be way ahead in this game. And the Batchets on reload, that's the biggest problem here for them. You can see another shell bounce against the IS-7. Like, this damage should just be going straight through, and out of range will be absolutely rinsing them.
Those TVP 50B now have shots to fire, and they do. They acquiesce. None too quickly as well. Kerolf now will try and come around the side, time it with his reload cycle. Out of range might actually be able to take this round away if Kerolf can do some damn hard damage. You can see though there's 2 tanks out towards the back. He can really isolate here. He has to be careful about the shots coming in from everyone else. It's a 1-for-1. The shot comes in. Kerolf now down. Does take a little bit of damage, but he can finish off Paycat here as well. It's a very, very important passage to play because the defenders are only down to those 2 tanks. And I'll give you the big tip. Only one of them is an autoloader here, and the 113 is in trouble, big trouble. Kerolf still has 2 shots to go. Riziek is going to get the finish on this 113, and Crux is still a long way away from being loaded.
Riziek's got 1.4k, so Crux needs 4 shells to kill him, so this is 100% game over. I think Kerolf has got maybe 2 shells left, or he probably just went on reload, so maybe a few more seconds. Yes, he does actually, but of course he's using heat, so he can't shoot through can't shoot through obstacles. Basically, it just impacts and explodes on them.
Well, Crux looking for Riziek here as well. He can kill Riziek, but he won't have the shells left, and this is clever from Kerolf. He's trying to slow the 50B up, prevent him from going forward. He now cannot finish off Risic in one clip. It's little stuff like that that you'd love to see from these teams. Great teamwork. Crux says, stuff you, I'm going to try and shoot you as well. He knows he's already done. He's out of shots. Kerolf will be loaded before he is. Crux won't be able to build up enough momentum to get a decent ram here, even though his tank is way heavier than the Batchat. Probably twice the weight, I think. But Risic now with one last shot to finish it off. And there you have it. And this is quite interesting here. It's an attacking team winning the round without doing anything cheesy or weird or trying to bait anything into towards the north. It was a default setup for them. And I think that reflects more on KB than it does on out of range.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's be honest. Out of range's positioning was okay, but nothing special. Their individual skill was bad. I mean, they took like forever to kill Hellfish. And when you have that position when you're missing a tank, you're not doing any damage, you should just be able to push on the other team and actually take advantage of that, because still going to be focusing on that tank. But they didn't. They let their T-54 lightweight die for nothing. I mean, I think that should have been Object 140 and not a T-54, because that 250 damage he was doing just wasn't enough. Like, if that was a 140, he would have been able to punish those 113s real good, and that might have given them a win. But yeah, KB were just pretty passive. They didn't do what a lot of teams do, which is take control of the F line and flank like an FE215B around or a 50B. And they kind of just stayed there. And yeah, I mean, the biggest point, of course, was Desert had the perfect timing on that reload.
Yep.
Charges in. He made the right call of getting out of that zero line. And he managed to take down 2 tanks, which are just sitting in the middle of the map. And I think if they really wanted to win that, they should have just turtled up and waited for Desert. But it's not an option because they didn't know where he was.
So there you go. Ruinberg falling by the wayside for Knackebrod, who, to be fair, we're looking quite strong. I think there's either two options here, guys. Either out of range or looking inside Carmen's head and seeing the future, or the light reflecting off it is illuminating all the weaknesses in KB setups. Melly, I don't know what your thoughts are here, but for some more illuminating information, why don't we turn to the community and see where their votes are going?
Well, the votes are going heavily in favor of Knackebrod. It's over 80%, 83 if I'm not mistaken, 89 at this point even. 89%
so it's even
for
jumped up since we put it on there. Okay.
Yes. So, and a lot of people are expecting a 5-3. I already saw that in Twitch chat. I saw that on Twitter. So maybe we'll see that big comeback, that turnaround from the sides of Knackebrod. Maybe not.
I
don't
possible.
know. Oh, of course it is. I mean, not to start again with the horses, but
No, please not.
Here we go.
Just shoot me now.
but
Put me down.
no, we're not putting down anyone.
Just punching them. There's a difference. I mean, if she can punch
Ollie,
a horse,
Ollie
she'd set you
caught
really.
a hit. Of me. Yeah.
Ronda Rousey.
He didn't
of the
stop
horse
crying for the whole night.
Really?
What?
Did you hit him? Did you make
Maybe.
him cry?
Maybe.
Probably in the wee hours of the morning.
To be fair, he's kind of used to being hit by any woman he ever approaches, so it's not
true.
exactly
It's true.
anything new for him.
Mate,
Yeah.
before you came up, I had Lauren and Melly on 2 sides of me for a solid 2 seasons, so I got a lot of punches, blows thrown left, right, and centre, grammatically, and they're the worst kind of blows, I feel.
Just grammatically.
Yeah. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can't hurt me. It's just total bullshit.
No, and there's just a lot about your persistence in the field, my friend, whether it's on the battlefield or...
Better on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, so Ollie's getting fired again. I'm glad we've established this.
So amazing. But yes, the vote has closed. The 4th round is over, as you may have noticed. The next vote will be online in a few minutes, so stay tuned on our Facebook page and refresh the voting app to be one of the first ones to enter your scoreline for the 3rd match of the night. And of course, I'd like to invite you to join the discussion in our Twitch chat.
Please.
And please tweet Mitch, because he's having the time of his life, and you should definitely support him here.
Yeah, because Ollie just
heart
makes me
attacks.
look like such a good caster next to him sometimes. The things he says. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be.
I said a naughty word.
Once, you do it like every
edgy,
3
man.
minutes.
Let's tweet something naughty as well. Let's be more edgy.
All right,
Let's
you
get edgy
behave
tweets,
yourself,
boys.
all right? We've already had cheerleaders at the Russian WGL finals. They weren't back. There's a reason why they weren't invited back, I think, right? So we're just behaving ourselves here, okay?
Let's get them back for the grand finals, boys. Make it happen.
Actually, to be fair, we did have some lovely ladies carrying the flags.
It's true. Paul Shannon, I love that.
I bet he did. I bet he did. Anyway, let's move straight along here. Of course, the next map, Ghost Town, will be the one as these teams do ready themselves up, and they've been waiting for us to stop talk and smack. And we're going to be jumping into the map right now. Our admins are sitting in the back like, yeah, you done? All right, let's go. Let's talk about it. Of course, we've seen a little bit of Ghost Town from both these teams on a couple of occasions here. Double Waffentrager E100 here, Oliver. Does that really spark your interest?
Kind of. I mean, it's a good tank. Double, I'm not so sure. I think 1 does the job, but 2 might just be kind of overkill. But out of range, 16% win ratio. Their 2 wins were basically against Rusty Ruster the other day. So have to see if they're going to continue their good luck streak on Ghost Town. KB, on the other hand, this is their strongest map. I mean, they, for instance, beat Penta at the beginning of the season. 83% win ratio so far. So, had a little bit of a restart call here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's here.
Oh, wait,
All
he's
good,
here.
boys. We're fine. Paddy's managed to paddle himself back into the match.
Go to garage. Yeah, that's
Garage.
fine. Okay, so we'll do that as well. Obviously, the map is Ghost Town, guys, not Ruinberg. The map video wasn't quite correct in this case, but you guys know what we're talking about. You can hear us. I assume you're watching the stream unmuted. But moving around to
Don't
this
know
one.
about that,
Yeah,
mate.
well.
It's a strong call there.
Yeah, well, after the last few minutes, it's fair enough, of course. But we've got to have some banter in here, guys. We've got to keep ourselves entertained as we do wait for players and teams to get everything sorted as well. And, you know, while Mellie's not eating her chicken in the corner, then she can do something with her mouth and talk. So
It's
that's
like
fair
a
enough.
supermarket.
I'm not eating.
She literally has. You can't see it on camera. She has a stack of food in the corner. She cleaned it up just before the break. It's almost like she knew I was going to bring it up. I've eaten from her. She's given me a chocolate croissant thing and a cake thing with some lemon stuff on the top.
Yeah, you
Like,
haven't had the
That's
chicken yet,
delicious.
mate. That's the best
Yeah, there's
part.
even some chicken over there as well.
Yeah, she's getting the
She
gains.
brings in
I don't
muffins.
have chicken. What are you talking
That
about?
is chicken.
It's
What,
spicy
what are you
chicken.
What are you talking
I
about?
can smell it from here. Like, it's chicken.
Mate, you got 2 guys who like to lift weights. You have chicken now, we're going to be smelling it for a mile off, all right?
I can smell it when Sean is having his broccoli and chicken, so I can smell that.
Oh,
Spicy chicken.
that's hard stuff.
You can't talk about people eating food when you literally get 2 boiled eggs in a plate
3, mate.
and
Oh, that's
sit them
true.
in your office for like 2 days. I had Stephen like crawling out the office like, oh, they had eggs again.
Mate, Stephen cries when there's like a bit of rain. So he's not the greatest guy to talk about being a hypochondriac. He's taking days off work for having bad skin. It's like, you know,
Ollie,
it's like a vampire.
tell us how you
or something.
really feel, bro. Let's go in a game before we get too far down the line here as well.
Get
Stephen,
some,
of
like
course.
Nivea for sun or something, guys. Send it into the office. 189 Siegburger Strasse. Get some moisturizer out for him.
Yeah.
It's just cold winter, to be fair, you know.
But not the water-based one. It makes it actually worse.
Someone please go in a game.
I don't know what that means.
Anyways, the Ghost Town guys, symmetrical as
Water-based.
they come, unlike Ollie's face, and pretty straightforward in how teams are going to be setting up on this one. From the north and south is where a lot of those fights are going to be fought. And of course, we're going to see KB now, this time at least with their full team. Quick restart was all we needed, and we're back into the game. Desik, again, Oliver, on that artillery here, has proven to be very effective for out of range in recent times. And if we cast our minds back, last time out of range were on this map, Desik was part of them getting that 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, he did the most damage in that game, I believe, or the second most damage in the M40, M43 against RR. So I'm hoping for a similar result from him here. But of course, I believe this will be 3-3. Just considering the kind of prowess KB has shown on this map, they've just been absolutely fantastic. I mean, 1-1s, 2-0s are very, very normal for them. So let's see if they can do the same. But I feel like Out of Range is so well rested. I don't know what they were doing in November, but they've had a good sleep since then and are back in the WGL.
Yeah, well, let's hope they're not sleeping right now as Formula 1. It's a shot towards Hellfish, but he's going to be threatened in a second as well. Quite often teams put that Waffentrager there and they get jumped on. But this is maybe the bait that Out of Range were hoping to set. Risic will be able to come around the corner, but quickly as heck, Hellfish actually gets a shot towards him. Risic, now things going real bad for him. As he pushed around the corner, Senti just trying to get out as well. He didn't even bother to fire a shot. That is very, very average now. Look at his perfect stuff. Knackebrod now just trying to close that trap. The Formula 1 is still there. He is still doing damage. He has taken down Failware. Knackebrod actually looks like this push. It was like one side of the pincer went first. Now the other is way behind. This could really blow up in their faces.
Terrible stuff. I mean, this is just bad communication, bad strategy, bad synergy. You have to go in at the same time, but of course, Out of Range were pointing their tanks towards half of the side of KB, and the other half weren't. But they're still in this one. Paddy will go down to Senti in the next couple of seconds. Keroff is coming off reload, but he's getting absolutely minced down. And of course, with that double Waffentrager Alpha E100, the damage at the beginning was great, but now it's just dropping off.
And Ollie knows plenty about mincing, so you can take it from him. It's a 4v4 situation here. Sentinel, all right, Sentinel is going to be the target of Paycat as he does get his reload, and Desik still in the background. able to do some damage. That was my fault too. I was not supposed to derail that, but Piotr now just sitting around the corner. He's got his reload. 3v3.
Unbelievable. Good stuff here from Formula 1. Does manage to take him down. I mean, that guy's an absolute beast. Now, both these Waffentrager Alpha 100s are off reload. 3,360 damage, I think they do somewhere around that. 6 shells with 560. My math is not strong. You try and do maths on air. It's a lot harder than you think it is.
It is.
And I got a PhD in mathematics, so, you know.
Do you really?
No.
I didn't think so.
Got a PhD in BS, mate.
Oh, BS. I believe that. Crux now going to come around the corner. At least he's done it properly this time. And 2 one-shots here, Crux and Almighty Artur. And out of range looking really, really good right now. This is going to put them on towards that match point. Desik can support Piotr. Piotr has enough shots here to finish off both these tanks. And, well, what Knackebrod are going to be waiting for? Oh, my lord, that could have been massive. Crux is the important tank right now. If he gets reloaded, he possibly can combine with Almighty Artur to get the finish here. The problem is that Piotr just taps one, taps the other, and it's game over. So these two have to... I don't even know how this works, really.
No, I mean, the thing is, out of range technically have all the balls in their court right now. I mean, they're on the defense. They've got more HP. Call Me Piotr's got an easy job just to kill 2 tanks. I mean, the thing is, you can't outgun handle the Waffentrager Alpha 100. It does more damage than you. It's got an insane penetration, so it doesn't even have to aim, and its aim down time actually is very good. And as the observer just kindly pointed out, Almighty Artur has been ammo-racked, and that's obviously a feature when you're on Ghost Town, is that most of the shots are going into your turret.
So the only thing really working in out of range's favour is that, well, there's only one Call Me Piotr, and he's been spotted first. Concrete does get their first shot. This could be important. He needs to respond and get the hit. No! Everything's going wrong right now for Call Me Piotr. He doesn't get either shot out, and he takes 2 himself. He's now a one-shot. And what was going to be a perfect situation now is a dangerous one for out of range, and all it took was 2 shots. Piotr is stuffed up. There's no doubt about it. He could have had that one in the palm of his hand. He just had to fire 1 shot. 1 shot. He could have committed to that, just pushed down the hill. And Crux was still on reload. I mean, well, Crux is now back on reload, should I say, but still.
The thing is, I mean, when you're playing that Waffentrager Alpha 100 on this map, there's a good chance that you're going to be hulled down, and that's the weakest part of that tank, the turret. You can just load HE. You're loading HE, and you know, you're doing almost 600 damage with the Conqueror and the AMX-50B. So 50-60 penetration's enough to go through the front of that turret, and Desik just couldn't land the shot. I mean, the M40, M43 got a very slow aim down time. So right now, as you mentioned, everything's going the way. Call Me Piotr's got his gun down. He's got his commander down. That's going to reduce. That's first going to get rid of his brother-in-arms. So that 5% plus to his. Ooh, Desik's actually spotted him. Doesn't manage to find him. He goes down.
Poor play from out of range, just at the depth of it. It's really, really important that they made things happen. And Piotr's got a damaged gun as well, so that doesn't help. I mean, I think is his commander out?
Yep.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't see before. Crux comes around a corner, finishes him off, and good night, Sally, is all you need to hear. It's Knackebrod there, bringing things back, given that round essentially by out of range, and unfortunately, the blame sits squarely on one player.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do feel sorry for him because that tank is just not the best 2 versus 1 tank in some situations. If they wanted to make it work, I think they should have been in a position where they can support each other, which they tried. But it was that beginning shot. I think he went down from 60% down to about 10% in 2 volleys, in 1 volley from both tanks. So, yeah, it wasn't good there from Piotr. Desik didn't manage to land a shell. Trying to blind it, didn't work out for him. But I think if he was playing like a T54 or an STB, that might have been a different story. But the interesting thing is, you know, we mentioned at the beginning of the match that those 2 Waffentrager Alpha 100s might be overkill, and I think they were. Because at the beginning, fantastic damage from them, just blowing up KB left, right, and center. Then they both went on reload. KB came back into the game and managed to get so much damage back that he did put it on a 2 versus 2 situation, but obviously 1 was a combat tank. I think 1 was enough.
So, we're now bringing things back a little bit more in line with an even score. Of course, the second round here for KB coming in, well, probably just the right time, to be fair. I mean, having lost that one, they'd be looking down the barrel of, that tiebreaker, or at least, you know, could have been that match point just around the corner. So teams now discussing as to get themselves set up for the next one. But let's have a look back over the scores. Formula 1 did a lot of damage. There's no doubt about it. He really hit hard. Fortunately, you know, Piotr as well didn't really come close to that one there. But 9 shots, you always can do a heck of a lot of damage in that E100.
Yeah, insane. I mean, he's had such a poor season so far, and I think he really needed to step up, and he definitely did the damage. And to be fair, Call Me Piotr was there with 2.1k, third highest damage dealer, therefore out of range. But Crooks with a fantastic round, Hellfish with a fantastic round, and Mighty also with a good round. So, yeah, I think that's problems. If we can have a look back at the 8 to 14, Tarantula was 0, and I think maybe being blown up straight at the beginning didn't help him out. And I think it's pretty safe to say, though, KB got pretty lucky to win that round.
Yep.
I think they executed pretty poorly, and maybe they got gifted that whole thing where the FET15B went around the corner and received like 1.5k damage. Same as when Elian was playing on this map against Oops on Tuesday. Two FET15B, big nose, pushed around the corner, gets taken down, and Todd's your uncle.
Todd's your uncle. All right. Well, here we go. We're going to be jumping in the next one very, very soon, of course. And it's a lot less stress going to be on the side of KB now after winning that last round. We are just waiting for someone to reconnect, of course, as we have had a drop here at the moment. I mean, we talk about the next round now as well. Desik probably won't be on the artillery, I think, this time around on the attacking side. I think he'll probably go away from that one. We can see some of the picks here a little bit earlier on. Conquerors seem to be the order of the day here on this map as well, as your tier 9 slot fillers, or stocking fillers as they were. You can see one there for KB. They got a 54 as well. A lot of 215Bs here, and it's double Conqueror as well for out of range.
Yeah, double British tier 10s, tier 9s. And yesterday, actually, on Tuesday, we saw a full British lineup of FET15Bs and Conquerors. They actually won the match. But yeah, I think this would be KB's round. I mean, it's Ghost Town, so it's pretty even on both sides. But looking at the lineup, I really do like KB's T54. I love that 130 and 50Bs. But I guess both teams have good lineups. I mean, it's Ghost Town.
It is, or Ghost Town, depending on who you ask. Ghost Town. I mean, yeah, and a win here, of course, would make it 3-3. So, to be able to turn things around so much on Ghost Town would definitely be a big deal, of course. And this is KB actually getting to defend here as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the defensive side has got 31% win ratio. Attacking side's got about 61%.
Okay.
38%, 61%.
So the whole attack defense bias doesn't hold so much here.
I mean, the attacking side is stronger. I mean, 61-38, but I don't know. I have to see how it works out. I think for me, it's like at the beginning of the season, the whole pushing into that first, into Cap No. 1 up north, putting the I-7 there, or whatever, Object 416 we've seen there as well, worked out supremely, and that's kind of skewed the results. But I don't know. I think Cat Attack is a good side here. The thing is, that whole like down the middle, synchronized, mirrored map this is kind of obscured because the caps are not synchronized. There's not just one cap in the middle. There's a cap up north, slightly to the right. So that kind of skews it a little bit.
Yeah, true. I mean, so while the map itself is symmetrical in the way that it's set up, where the caps are and where the hotspots are, I guess, for most of those fights to happen actually aren't overly centralized here, and there are some different features on either side of things. I love this deep discussion about the inner mechanics here of Ghost Town, but Fairware has reconnected and we're jumping into the game in just a few seconds, and there's a lot hanging on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Right now the scores are 3-2 in favour of Out of Range. A win here for KB gets them on even footing, pushing us forward, of course, onto our 4th map, and then after that Ruinberg will be the tiebreaker game. So this one, Oliver, could go all the way.
Yeah, good. I got a funny feeling it will be. These teams seem pretty evenly matched. I think if Out of Range win this one, I think it'll be their game. But, I mean, KB have got the pedigree on this map, and they move on to the harder side. But, yeah, we have to see, of course. They're pretty evenly matched, so any round's anyone's game.
All right, it's time to jump in now, guys. It's Ghost Town for the second time in this particular match is going to be up on your screens. It's Kerov here in a 50B. Remember, double Conqueror and single Conqueror for KB. So, plenty of those tanks up on this field. And those FE215Bs as well being heavily invested into.
Yeah, good little British tank there, I should say, big British tank. But I think for KB, the most logical thing for them to do would be to push, get the big control of that northern cap. It looks like they got the 113 going in that direction, played by Hellfish, and then basically just go hull down. I mean, the problem with them is that they got no E100, which has started to be phased out of this map a little bit. So they do have to be careful that they don't sit in hull down positions the whole time, because they will start to get worn down, and of course the attacking side can start getting control of the map.
So we do have the FE215Bs moving up here, and why they're sitting behind each other like this is because they're obviously not vulnerable from the north, so we have to see tanks actually come in from the sides. And well, honestly, Knackebrod haven't really set themselves up there at all. They're not in position to fire onto those capping tanks yet. They need to rotate around in the counterclockwise direction towards that that F4 area here. So far, cap progress going pretty well for out of range. They managed to get in there. They're trying to make amends for that last round, which, to be honest, was pretty diabolical from them. Was very, very average with 6 seconds left. The Conqueror should be able to get a reset here as well. Yep, a little bit of a reset coming away from Foulware, but he's taken a lot of damage to do that. And here comes the cavalry out of range, pushing in towards Knackebrod now as well. Fairly even in terms of health points before this engagement started, but now things start to get a little bit less balanced. Pad will also fall in just a second as well if he's not careful. He's a one-shot, and Kerov, well, he's on reload here. So those 50Bs being used quite well there by out of range, and the cap is still underway.
Very impressive stuff there for an out of range. You can see KB is trying to reel themselves back into this game, trying to strangle out of range out. But I mean, that 4 versus 2 situation was fantastic from out of range.
You can see Kerov now moving up. Even though he wasn't loaded, he wanted to be able to soak some damage up like a sponge at least to give his teammates more time alive so they could fire their shots. He's always going to get the opportunity to fire his. And this is Kedevan now as well, trying to just block some shots towards Piotr. He's still able to do damage. PK is a one-shot. He's not even loaded. He's not a non-factor right now. And out of range, honestly, just throwing down, gauntlet being slapped across the face. They said, let's go. Mono e mono or 7v7 tanks. So none of that statement is even valid to say here, but still. 2 left for Knackebrod, and out of range look to be wanting to finish things off here. They're going to go to match point after all. Imagine if they won that last round though, Oliver.
That would be absolutely fantastic. I think they deserve it. Maybe I made the wrong call saying that it would be KB's round, but just, I mean, we can all see how well out of range is playing. In that previous round, they got very close to winning it. And every single round they've lost, they've got pretty close to winning it. So, you know, they've come back and next time, just pushing into the middle cap, forcing KB to splinter, and then pushing immediately in with the overmatches, taking down those 2 tanks versus 4. Easy stuff. Bit of miscommunication with the focus fire, but it didn't really matter. And KB tried to push themselves, trying to get a similar overmatch situation, but it wasn't enough, and the positions were just too far away for KB to get control of.
So many terrain features that you can get around that can give you like an overmatch in a few seconds, like even while the whole rest of the enemy team's on the other side. If you can isolate a tank just around a corner or for a brief period of time, 3 seconds is really all you need to take them out, or at least do most of their health in damage. So match point it is. Yeah. Can say that with some conviction here as well. The next one's going to be Muravanka. We're moving on to here as well. Be interesting to see what comes of that one. But before we get ahead of ourselves, of course, we can sort of break this one up a little bit more here. It does seem like out of range looking a lot better than they did in the start of the season. It seems that they're more decisive for the decisions they're making. You will notice as well that Carmen doesn't have to be on the battlefield to at least exercise some of that authority, or his players have definitely started to thrive. And this is the team, Oliver, we were waiting to see. Top Silver Series team qualified automatically into the WGLEU. Knackebrod had to fight their way in. And out of range has such a slow start to the season. It's good to see them now starting to live up to the hype they generated by being so strong in the Silver Series. I
mean, it's a good point. Carmen was playing basically the whole half of the season. They were losing back-to-back. And then Carmen didn't play one match. They also lost horribly 5-0. And he was like, yeah, that's what happens when you don't let me play. We lose 5-0. And then they come back into the season. It looks like they got 2 fairly convincing wins under their belt, or very close to the second convincing win. So, I mean, Carmen's always been that guy where everyone's like, yeah, he's a good guy to have in your team, but he's not a particularly good individual player. But like sometimes when he plays, he does get those rounds, but so does everyone when they play World of Tanks. That's why people keep playing it. But you can see there, Paycat, Paddy, Failware, Mighty Artor, Hellfish. You got 5 players that just not really doing much at all, and 3 of them were the ones that got focused out right at the beginning. So impressive map for out of range. That was the best map KB has in their arsenal, and they just got almost beaten twice on it.
Absolutely. That was one that they were maybe hoping to bring some back, but it is going to be Muravanka, I think. Maybe not Himmelsdorf here, we'll have to wait.
It's Himmelsdorf.
Oh, is it? I read wrong. I wrote wrong. There you go. Himmelsdorf it is. No, I'm the one that's wrong this time. And out of range, we'll be starting on the defensive side here. Now, notwithstanding any weird pushes towards the north, Knackerbrods will have to definitely fight tooth and nail for this one. It's tough to go to match point on Himmelsdorf attack.
Yeah, for sure. Both teams not particularly great at this map, both with the same win percentage, which is good, 33% each. So we could have a bit of a nail bite as we head into the maybe closing stages of this match, as Failware tries to make a quick shot against Kedavan. And I'm not sure exactly what he was intending to find there. Maybe trying to spot the 8 line to see if there's anything going to go through, or maybe an aggressive KB, expecting him to kind of bite the bullet and go for an aggressive matchup, aggressive round. But haven't gone for that, and the 8 line's now under control for out of range. Hill, as usual, under control by KB at the beginning, and the AMX 3090 have a little bit of a roam. And I think with that 3090, could be very likely that KB go for that western side cap.
Risik here is just set up on that 8 line, and a western side cap would be interesting indeed. And you're right, KB seemed to be manoeuvring elsewhere. Risik, I think, was lit for a moment there as well. So straight away, KB know that passage towards that 8 line is going to be tough with an IS-4. Great side scraping tank, got a hard head on as well. Going to be very, very hard to really deal with there. And E100 of Hellfish dutifully watching that corner. And Tarantula actually getting a bit of damage on towards Senti. I think someone up on the hill as well is also hitting him. Hard to see. I can see the Tracer coming in from an angle there. So Senti's got to be careful. He's caught out in the open here and he's being made to suffer for it. Not getting any damage back on towards Tarantula as well. It's mistakes like this that out of range can't afford to make.
Yeah, it's a small map, and I think some people forget that. It was the TVP on the hill that was doing great damage. Tarantula also could peek, and that's going to be, very, very upsetting for out of range at this point in time. They were doing so well, and then they just make a careless mistake driving through the middle of the map. Well, not middle of the map, kind of an open area of the map, and just get absolutely punished at the beginning. Senti's down to a 2-shot, 3-shot maybe, and you know, KB's basically got an open door to push through.
Yeah, and Senti is being threatened as well. You can see, I think the TVP on the hill is still going to be a problem. He can fire through the fence here, so Senti has to be careful just exactly how much of his tank he pokes through that hole towards his left. Right now, it doesn't seem like out of range or in a hurry to go anywhere. Really, he's leaving Senti to his own devices for the moment in that IS-7. Which, to be fair, is one of the more durable tanks at tier 10, and he has already been able to put a decent scratch on towards Failware, catching him with one of those 600-odd damage shots. Tarantula will always be able to harass here. Knackebrod now maybe no longer having the element of surprise, really, now. They know they can't go the 8 line. They've now been spotted, detected on that 1 line. They're not going to go through the middle, I don't think so. They just kind of have to force their way through this one now, as they're going to be revealed, whatever they do.
Interesting that Hellfish has gone for the E100. I mean, KB has chosen that tank a few times before, but it's always an interesting pick, and it's starting to fall out of favor in the WGLEU in the later parts of the season, online season I should say. And maybe we'll get to see it back in the offline finals, of course, which will be announced very soon. But Krug's starting to get threatened there on the hill, receives one from, I think, the IS-7, or actually the AMX-50B of Kerov.
And Kedavan also coming up as well. Now, he knows that Krux, don't think he can't be clipped by Krux. Not exactly anyway, it'll depend. But still, that push through the middle actually happened here, and Risik now in a bit of trouble because he didn't expect this to happen. We'd see 2 tanks here having pushed straight up the guts, and they're now on that D line, but have to move very, very quickly here because an E100's coming in from behind, and that is a big roll. 854 damage, and Formula 1 is there as well. Knackebrod trying to make ends meet here, but they're running into the biggest tanks out of range have on their arsenal, and they just took so much damage.
I mean, Formula 1 is in a pretty standard position for any kind of round on this match. He's just sitting around the corner. It's exactly where you want him to be, but this looks like a last-ditch resort here for KB to try and win this game against Risik.
And Risik wants to hope that these 2 tanks expose themselves towards that D-line, but they're not going to. Risik maybe could have pulled back, or at least around the corner. He might try and do that now, but Formula 1 is in position. He's still got one more shot, and look at Paycat just disintegrate underneath the damage. Beautiful focus fire. Risik can die now, and it's still not a problem really for out of range. Hellfish has to commit around the corner a little bit here. He doesn't quite know the Waff Trigger was on reload, but he was willing to take that risk. Still took 400-odd damage. And there's Krux as well on reload. Just off reload now, actually. Is Kedavan forced to backtrack a little bit here, as a full clip will be enough to kill him from Krux. Krux knows it, and so does Kedavan, and he just gets away. Skin of his teeth.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kedavan was always going to get away with that one because it's a really hard shot to make. And it will actually be Failware to come away with that. Still got half HP, and the game is still on, out of range, about 1,000 hit points ahead. And let's see how long KB can sustain until that Waffentrager comes off reload.
I'm glad Milosh pulled back around the corner there. He was smart. He knew there was an E100 close by, and Hellfish has just missed his shot. That's really going to hurt when you've got a fully loaded 50B coming straight towards you as well. You can see Milosh in the background, can assist if he needs to, but easy enough. Get the finish. Almighty Artur goes down. Hellfish still not fully loaded. Kerov going a little bit too far forward. Failfish was there to watch him as he rounded the corner. Close game. Hellfish, I don't know. There's Formula 1 though, and he's got a great few shots here on towards Hellfish. Look at the damage coming in as well. If E100 isn't going to be standing up for too much longer. Looks like out of range, going to wrap this one up in a nice bow and send it with love.
Yeah, they're going to finish this game off any second now. About 2,000 hit points separating. You can see KB just desperately trying to flex around the map, and call me Piotr does get caught out.
Tarantula's found his W key now as well. Is going to be getting up behind Piotr and finish him off, but the damage is already done as Milos from the middle of the map. He chimes in, he gets involved. Tarantula still gets the scalp there, and this still is a close one. Kerov is very, very low. Milos was a one-shot, but that was Crux's chance to finish him off, and he's lost it. The Waffentrager E100 is still healthy. Now, flashbacks maybe for out of range, having that one Waffentrager E100
exactly,
to keep them in the game here. This time Formula 1 has all of his health, so and also gun depression not a problem here. This is a pretty straight map. Formula 1 has 3 shots as well. He hasn't chosen to reload here, and you can see that Knackebrod just want to pull back. They want to regroup. They have 2 autoloaders to work with, but punching through the armor of Milos could be a big problem here for the attacking side. Sorry, as the defenders just dig in and just try and waste the rest of these 3 and a bit minutes.
So I think right now, out of range has the easiest option is then just to put their fastest tank on the hill, one with the best gun depression, and that maybe will win the game because there's only 3 minutes left in the match, as you said. KB's probably best option is to sit behind the cap and set up because they just simply can't push in against the E100, which TVB can bounce on the side very easily, bounce from the front. AMX-30 will have to really aim towards the back of that tank, or maybe just be able to penetrate with 244 penetration inside of the turret, back of the turret. So I think the cap's the option here for KB. The hill is the option for out of range, which might cause them to be out of position. Oh, but Tarantula might have an angle here.
No.
But just the likelihood of him penetrating if he does hit is pretty low. That's a problem. So yeah, cap underway, trying to catch out of range by catch them out, and it will cause them to go forwards. And of course, with those slower tanks and with the 50B on such low HP, it's their best option.
Well, 25 seconds, it's not a lot of time, and to be fair, out of range aren't exactly rolling in the fastest tanks. Crux is looking straight towards Formula 1 here. He's hoping that maybe a one-shot tank could show himself around the corner, but he's not going to have such luck. It's Kerov as well, looking for some side or rear shots here. Formula 1 has all the ordnance he needs to pretty much do this on his own. Got to be a few shots is all that's required. He'll see pretty much straight away Crux. Crux gets the shot. Formula 1 also taking some damage here. They're both autoloaders. He cannot mess this up, and he does miss the first shot. No, it was actually a shot coming in towards him now. Crux does go low. There's a reset coming in, though, importantly enough. 3 shots left. Formula 1 not going to make any sort of mistakes that we saw earlier on. Tarantula now, the last tank left, and out of range. Some moments there of uncertainty, but they do clean this series up 5-2.
Impressive stuff from out of range. I actually thought that KB was going to come back with that clutch and try and get that 3 versus 2 situation. They played very well. I was like, holy hell, Formula 1 having to hit that last shell into the side of that TVP. If that was a slightly harder tank, it might have been a bounce, might have been an absorption. So very good play there from the side of out of range to get that one. And that's just the penetration value on that Waffentrager Alpha E100. Good gun handling as well. Easy to go through the side of one of those tanks. So good stuff all round, I have to say. I mean, the Czechoslovakian tanks have been pretty well featured throughout these matches, and I think some of the teams are picking them more of a fad than actually a kind of a logical, thought through pick. But out of range, I mean, it's black and white. They were so bad before the Christmas break. They've had some sleep, some good food. They've rested up, and they've come back with a vengeance.
That's right. Carmen's even had a haircut. You wouldn't know it, but trust me.
It's more shiny.
Yeah, that's
right.
Some oil on that. He's had it waxed.
I think we should buy some oil from just to get that extra shine when we go to grand finals.
I think he could even try and distract his opponents with it as well. He couldn't even get trouble with it because it's just
aim the flashlight away from him.
4,500 damage here for Crux and the TVP. That's probably a big reason why that. Well, Knackebrod made this one such a close affair, but then straight after, E100, Waffentrager E100, those 2 tanks were fed a few kills to start with as well. We did see that D-line push straight up the middle from the 2 FV2 and 5Bs. was really quite strange from KB, and it definitely was a big reason why they were so far behind in this round.
Yeah, they just pushed straight through the middle. Waffentrager Alpha E100 just poked around the corner. Formula 1 just did so much damage to them. You had Riziek there in the IS-4 just being able to hold on that 8-line. Before Formula 1 just poked around and just expended those last 3 shells into the side of those tanks. So great matchup for out of range. KB's second loss in a row. Of course, they lost last week to Wombats on tanks. So they're not playing up to their normal level, which we saw in the first half of the season. So I think they need to kind of reset themselves, just relax a bit, and just try and get some better results going forwards. Of course, they're a new team. It's not unusual they go through these kind of peaks and troughs.
So here's our post-battle stats as well, which is just highlighting just the biggest rounds of each of these players here, or the highest scores being had. And you can see Crux featuring 3 times in the top 7, so that's pretty darn important. And Formula 1 as well, having played that Waffentrager, no surprise to see him heading up that board.
No, not at all. He was just such a good player this match, and he's been pretty bad, I have to say, in some of the other matches. So it's good to see him actually performing. Crux has had a bit of a storm of a match as well, and I think it's been an interesting matchup. Out of range, they played well. They've still got a lot of issues, and very obvious issues they will have to fix if they want to beat some of the better teams, so the more experienced teams. But they're on the right track at least.
Okay, well, that's about that for the second match. We're going to be coming back from the break briefly, but beforehand, Melly, as well, just to wrap up on this one as well. We did see the vote fluctuate a lot during this one. I mean, where were people sort of, as we started to see those rounds come, where did we close on our votes?
On 70%. We started on 89% and ended up on 70% in favor of Knackebrod. So pretty much, well, almost no one expected Out of Range to take this one with the 5-2 ending. A single person actually got the correct vote, so congratulations at this point. And yes, that was definitely something the community wasn't taking into account.
There's a lot of KB fans. I see a lot of Kappas, KBs.
Knackebrod in chat.
Exactly. Like all of the bad pronunciations of that team name coming out in Twitch chat right now. It's
exactly.
great stuff.
But yes, people, thank you for getting involved. The next vote will be up in a few minutes, so stay tuned on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WGLEU. Click the link on the very first posting on our timeline to get forwarded to our app where you have to vote for your favorite team by selecting the regarding team logo and then predicting the exact scoreline for this matchup in the little text field below. Just have a wild guess. Send it off, hope for the best, and maybe you're one of the 3 fastest to win a bonus code. We actually had community members that had full tables of calculations of how the matches are possibly going to end only for this team vote
I believe
challenge. That's crazy.
Try and farm some gold offers. Fair enough.
Yep.
I do that whenever we have the beat the wargaming events in game. I always used to get my team together and just try and farm them, hope you get into queue with them, and just see
we
if you
just
keep
do the
winning.
same.
Good times, good times.
Got a lot of gold out of that. Thanks, guys.
We did. The Wargaming Asia staff, I think, were probably too busy actually maintaining the game to play it, so that was fun. Wrecked. Anyway, we'll go to a break, guys. When we return, it's going to be Synergy versus Ding in our last game of the night. Will Synergy be able to redeem themselves here after a very average game against Penta? And we're seeing Ding for the first time in a couple of weeks here. They got crushed by Oops pretty badly, so both these two teams got to bounce back. We'll see how it all happens after the break.